what planning did you put into, contingency planning if something went wrong, if someone needed to get off trail, if weather came in and we had to bail?
Yeah. So I'll run through the basics first. I think 4 people is a really safe and efficient group number. If you have less people than that, you have less people to help in case of an emergency. If you have more people than that, you're less efficient. So that's one thing to consider. On top of that, we made sure that we had multiple Garmin inReaches. There is not much cell service on the Uinta Highline. I think I only had it when I was on Kings Peak.
And Lighty Peak was the other one time.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I do remember that. So that's something to consider. So we had, I had an inReach, Tayson had one, Brigham had one, and then we had kind of a shared company one. Derek was packing it until Joe peeled off, and we sent it with Joe. If you're going to plan on sending one around, you got to make sure you get the app set up before you get on trail, or else it won't work for the new person you're giving it to.
Doesn't work as well. Yeah, you can still text off of it, but it's a big nuance.
Right. So that was one thing we did to prepare. The other thing we did was we looked at every single day on the trail, and we looked at, okay, if someone were to get hurt or sick and have to bail off trail, where do you go and how many miles is that, and what would be the logistics of getting picked up for that? And so essentially each day we looked at these little tertiary, or maybe you call them like a tributary type trail, that would split off of the Highline and then go down the sides of the Uintas, either to the north or to the south, and meet a road or a campground or something like that. And so what we did was I went through and I identified a bailout point for each day, and I got the GPS coordinates of the start and end of that bailout point, and then I put those on a sheet of paper and gave them to everyone to pack with them prior to us going out there.
Or the people that are picking you up.
We sent that same list to our loved ones. I send out the email with that, and then each of us is supposed to give that to our loved ones, so people are in the know of where we're going and what our contingency plans are.
When Joe bailed, do you remember how many miles it was to get down to the lake he went to?
I think it was about 12 and a half miles to get from...
That's fairly common.
Yeah.
That would be on the low end. That's like an opportunistic bailout point would be about 12 miles. Others could be 15 to 18 miles on a bailout plan.
Yeah, day 3. So he bailed on day 2. Day 3 would have been almost a guaranteed 17-mile bailout, no matter which direction you went. Yeah. If you got halfway through Painters, because if you bailed immediately on day 3, you could just go down Gunsight, and that would be 12.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a big part of our planning, was finding bailout points and then publishing those bailout points to everyone on the trail and everyone's emergency contacts off trail.
Yeah. Definitely a big part of that. I mean, just a big it's not like a perfect safety net, but having the ability to message in the backcountry is really important. Garmin inReach, I have the Garmin inReach Mini 2. Absolutely love that piece. It brings a ton of peace of mind, and just as it's way safer to have something like that. So when we needed someone to pick up Joe, we can send a message. When
Joe gets picked up, we can get confirmation that he was picked up, which is a big deal.
Yeah, it all is just so helpful, super nice. And if you hadn't noticed yet, this podcast is sponsored by Outdoor Vitals. And in the Outdoor Vitals membership, you can get Garmin inReach Minis at a discount with some money back on a rebate. So last pitch. But no, for real, they are crucial. They're, a lot of people are like, oh, that's kind of an expense, da-da-da. Well, I do the annual plan. It's $11 a month if you do the annual plan for the whole year. And I get more than $11 worth of value. You don't just have to use it while hiking, right? You can leave it in your car for an emergency communicator in your car.
I got picked up on a side
you've
of
had
I-70.
to use it.
Yeah.
You've had to use it when your car crapped out where there was no cell service. Mm-hmm. And so You could send it, for me, I can send it with my wife and just be like, okay, you're making this big road trip drive. Now I just know that you can get a hold of me if something did happen where you didn't have service. There's
no
use
international
case.
plans for them. You can take them anywhere in the world.
I took it to Germany just to have. You know what I mean? I didn't end up using it, but it's like this peace of mind if you ever wanted it. So there's a lot of crossover. Everyone that I've around me that has ended up getting one has never regretted it, and they seem to get more use out of it than they thought. It's one of those rare pieces that you buy and you actually get more use out of it usually instead of less use out of it than you were hoping. So they're a great piece.